According to the National Association of Home Builders and chief economist Robert Dietz, there's a lot that needs to happen in the affordable housing space, and they're stating that the best way to strategically deal with the affordable housing crisis is to increase production and increase the volume of units that are actually being produced. No brainer, right? There's a lot more that goes into than just creating more volume in housing. Realizing that only 38% of homes that are built meet the demand of median home buyers in the lower income sector who make $90,000 or less in the median family home market. And so if you're a family that makes under $90,000 of combined income every single year, you're falling into that lower affordability of homes that people need right now. That's a large majority of people. Only 38% of homes that are built fall into that sector. And so for the other remaining percentages of people out there that are going out and buying homes, there's plenty, there's abundance on the market, but in the affordable housing sector, there's not enough. I've been talking about this for the last 2 years. One of the biggest, most sought after topics is affordable housing. I wanted to see what the National Association of Home Builders was actually saying about affordable housing and how they were working with legislators to be able to tackle what's happening worldwide, much less nationwide, right here in the United States, with affordable housing and the lack thereof. And so as we look back and we look at the reasons, I want to give you guys the 5 L's of what has actually been the 5 reasons that has bottlenecked our economy and bottlenecked housing specifically in our economic standpoint with affordable housing, and be able to share with you guys those 5 standpoints. I'm going to give those to you here in just a little bit. But before that, I want you guys to understand what we're battling against right now. We have over 400 unfulfilled trade service jobs that are unfulfilled this year just because there's not enough labor help in the market to be able to strategically go out and build single family and multifamily affordable housing. We don't have enough labor help to do so. One of the other things that's bottlenecking us right now is the fact that interest rates are at double digits. So if you go back and you look at interest rates and what people were looking at as far as a 30-year fixed mortgage just 2 years ago in 2020, now the interest rates have doubled from then. So just on interest payments alone, it bottlenecks buyers in their ability or their inability to go in and actually purchase affordable housing or any type of housing for that matter. Also making it difficult for the end developer to be able to go out and develop these at an affordable cost, most of which have to be able to go in, and it's one thing that we're doing in the Fort Worth market because rents are actually low there. So to be able to build an affordable housing market, a product in an affordable housing area that's already somewhat affordable compared to the rest of the nation, we have to get tax abatements. We have to be able to go in and get strategic ways to offset our property taxes, our income taxes, and other tax benefits to be able to make the projects actually pencil. So on a development standpoint, it makes it very difficult to go in and build affordable housing if there's not some type of governmental programs put together to benefit either the developers or to be able to supplement the end user to be able to come in and strategically move into these properties at an affordable price. So one of the main things that Robert Dietz stated from the National Association of Home Builders is he says, building more homes and apartments is the only way to tame inflation, satisfy unmet demand, achieve a measure of price stability in the for sale and rental market to ease the American housing crisis. Look, we are 36% higher on building materials since 2020, and putting us in a position where building materials are more expensive today in such an abundance than they were just 2 years ago makes it even more difficult for people to be able to go out and be able to build affordable housing. And so to be able to go out and position yourself, look, I had a mentor years ago, and this mentor had told me, he said, Jerome, if you can position yourself in a way where you can find a massive problem. And I think we can all agree as we watch this video and as we watch some of the other content that I've been producing that we have an affordable housing crisis. You may be one that's watching it saying, yeah, I have an affordable housing issue. And there's a lot of investors that are going out trying to pick up affordable housing to be able to rent on a market that needs more rentals, more end units to be, and more rooftops for end users to actually strategically position themselves into. But yet there's not enough affordable product out there for them to buy, reposition, rent, cash flow, and pay mortgages. So it makes it a massive issue in multitudes of ways. And so one of the biggest things that we're doing is I told people, I said, look, you find a massive problem. Affordable housing, massive problem. But finding a solution to the affordable housing crisis is where mass profits will be made. And so this is on the forefront of legislation. It's on the forefront of the White House. It's on the forefront of economists. It's on the forefront of places like the National Association of Home Builders, the National Association of Realtors, and myself and other builders and developers that are out there that are sitting back that feel the bottleneck, and we've been pushing for it. So we're going in, we're asking legislation. We have to be able to strategically position ourselves to cut cost. Over 25% of development costs when it comes to residential, and even more for multifamily, go towards regulatory fees just to get a product out of the ground. And when you're paying over 25% of your construction cost in regulatory fees, it becomes extremely expensive. So what if the federal government would tame some of the regulatory fees? What if on a state level, local level, city and municipal level, they were able to tame some of those fees and expedite the process of being able to process permits? There has to be a structure of strategic underwriting to make sure that people are building safe products that are also affordable, but are also going to stand the test of time. And so you can't just give people free reign and free will to go do this. But I'll give you an example. We go up to Washington State. In the time that it's taken me to build out these 1,350 to 1,500 square foot units of cottages, which are like condos essentially, we've went out and built a $33 million apartment complex before we even got out of the dirt with 20 single family homes. We haven't even gotten out of dirt with one of them at the time that we recorded this video. And I'll tell you guys that when you go out and you look at this stuff and you think about what it takes to be able to get a house out of the ground in some of these municipalities, it's unacceptable. The builders, the development, the city, you're doing a disservice to our economy, and you're doing a disservice to our American people. And so when we go in and we look at this stuff, there's regulatory requirements that can be softened by far. And some of the bottleneck is the review periods. These people that are not as affluent to go in and look at this stuff. And so when we go in and we're structuring our purchases and we're structuring our developments, we're expecting to get out of the dirt in just a few months, 9 months, a year from now with a commercial project in just a few months on residential. But on residential, single family development, if it takes you over a year to strategically position yourself to come out of the dirt, imagine how much work can be facilitated and done by any developer or builder if we went in and we just strategically came up with ways to fix this bottleneck on a municipal level, so that way all of the administrative fees that are being assessed and all of the underwriting time that's wastefully utilized can be mitigated, and we can start turning a product that actually makes sense. Now look, ladies and gentlemen, if you like this content, by the way, I want you guys to smash that thumbs up button. I want you guys to click and subscribe to our YouTube channel so that you're notified for content just like this. But I wanted to give you the reasoning that we're sitting here, because I think that's a big question that most people have been asking themselves for a long time, is like, how do we get into this housing shortage and why are we here? And after the Great Recession of 2008, one of the biggest things that happened is these 5 things right here, according to the National Association of Home Builders, and specifically Robert Dietz, their chief economist. And the 5 L's is the lack of labor, which we talked about, the lack of lots, and I don't know that that's the case. They're saying that there's a lack of lots. I think in inner city, dense areas like New York City, like Miami, like Los Angeles, maybe downtown Chicago, but you go just outside of that cusp and you follow the business model that I talk to people about, and I tell you guys, look, end users, empty nesters, people that are in the retirement age, they don't want to live in the chaos of the inner city anyways. They want to be able to go out and enjoy the open space. And so right behind me, I own lots that I've owned for 20 years. If you turn the camera the other way, we'll put in some pattern interruptions that actually show that there's development and stuff going on over here. And I built these houses over 20 years ago. There's plenty of land. And we're within just a few minutes of town where there's shopping, stores, hospitals, high schools, elementary schools, you name it. We have it within just a 5-minute drive, 10-minute drive from where we actually sit. And there's opportunity like this. So I don't know if lots are actually the case. Lumber has definitely been an issue. The lack thereof, the tariffs over in the tariffs on the Canadian border, and the expense of lumber and how expensive lumber has gotten in building materials has been a bottleneck to this as well. That's number 3. So lumber and building materials, we talked about them going up 36% over the last 2 years. Now, lending for development and construction purposes. This was a topic of conversation with one of our investors this morning, in fact, that I had with them. And I told them, we haven't been bottlenecked through the development process because right now our liquidity looks really good. But as we start developing more, it bottlenecks our ability. Even if we have the bandwidth to hire the right people, it bottlenecks our ability to continue developing. Those people that have the resources, the know-how, the knowledge, and the wisdom to go out and do this, we're getting bottlenecked because we can only build as much as our liquidity will allow us to, and there's no governmental program set in place that allow the masses of people. There are governmental programs put in place, but there's not governmental programs put in place that allow the masses of people to go out and get continued lending at ease. It's always a strategic and encumberancing process to be able to get lending on developments like this. And hence, the lender typically funds 70 to 80% of it, you taking 20 to 30% as a developer, me or you or whoever it is. So we understand the bottleneck there, but we also need to become more readily available to a strategic way of underwriting to allow big developers to be able to mitigate this, and even small individual builders and developers just like you be able to put small dents in this housing crisis and give you guys back benefits financially, tax incentives to motivate you to go out and actually do so. Last but not least, lending for development construction purposes and the legal and regulatory stuff that we just talked about. So from a legal standpoint, there is so much legality in development that the legal bottleneck and everything that happens on a municipal level has bottlenecked this process. And so we're trying to figure out a way to be able to loosen some of these strings. And when I say we, I'm not talking about me personally. It's legislation. It's our U.S. policymakers. It's the big organizations like the National Association of Home Builders, the National Association of Realtors. These people that are out there lobbying and advocating for dense development, for people to be able to go out there and start strategically putting their efforts in place to go out and structure ourselves in a place where we can actually build and develop and create massive solutions quicker. Now, I'll sit back and I can selfishly tell you guys that I can take the rest of my professional career on and to resolve this housing crisis, and I'll be fine. But then the next generation experiences and the next generation experiences it, and at what point in time do we ever catch up with this housing crisis? And so we, as an economy, we as U.S. people have to strategically come together to say, okay, look, it's time, right? And so this is where what I talk about with turning dirt into dollars, subdividing land, going out and creating dense developments, being able to go out and buy land, build houses, and generate profits from doing so. All of you guys are strategically helping what we're doing right now as far as creating rooftops that are needed massively. And if you go out and you understand our development model for multifamily, everything that we're doing, we're stripping amenities out of these apartment complexes, and we're putting in affordable type builds that people can actually walk into with Class B rents, but feel that they're in this Class A community and they feel excited that they're actually living there, and it's a product that they're actually proud of. And so, ladies and gentlemen, you want to be able to make mass profits in something, you have to find a massive problem and find a solution to that problem. So if you want to take advantage of massive profits of figuring out how to strategically go out and find solutions to affordable housing, then click below, join more of our content, smash that thumbs up button, and click and subscribe to our YouTube channel so that you're notified when more content like this comes out, but when more educational content like this comes out, so you can strategically structure yourself on the know-how to take advantage of affordable housing and everything that's happening in the investment and the buying side of affordable housing, construction, and real estate development. I'm going to post a couple videos at the end of this video that I feel will benefit you guys both in not only affordable housing, but also on how to buy land, build houses, and develop multifamily real estate. Click below, and I look forward to seeing you next time.